Yo, what's going on? It's Boxing Source here live, and we have this live discussion here for May 20th, 2020. Uh, this is a midweek report, and just wanted to, go through a few things in the sport of boxing, a couple of topics that, have been in the forefront in the sport of boxing. So wanted to, touch on those. And if anyone wants to, be part of the discussion, they could, join in through the live link. So wanted to, get into it as we, have these specific topics that we want to go through. One of them is something that, had been circulating over the past few hours, as there was information about Errol Spence Jr. Having his first fight back since his car accident that happened in Texas, which was, not that long after his win over Sean Porter to unify the IBF and WBC welterweight titles. And that person that he is slated to face is basically the guy that he was originally scheduled to face before the car accident. And that is former WBC champion Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia, though, is, the Philadelphia native, was a champion at 140 pounds. Also, was a champion at 147 pounds. He did have his wins over Robert Guerrero, among others, and eventually, had his fight against Keith Thurman for the WBC and WBA welterweight titles, and ended up losing that particular fight. And with that being said, he had another attempt to win the WBC title in a fight at the Barclays Center against Sean Porter. He ended up losing that fight by decision, and has been trying to get himself another world title shot ever since. He did, have his latest bout against Ivan Rekhatch, and had the win there against him. For me, I think that this is another great chance for Danny Garcia to become a world champion once again. And with this, I mean, he's had his fights. Only losses were, like I said, a split decision to Keith Thurman and the decision loss to Sean Porter in 2018. He had his KO win over Adrian Granados last year, and then at the Barclays Center, back at the Barclays Center, like I said, he had his decision win over Ivan Rekhatch, and now he's slated to go up against the unified welterweight champion Errol Spence Jr. Won that IBF title against Kell Brook, defended that IBF title a few times, against the likes of Oso Campo. We had his fight with Lamont Peterson as well, and also had the fight at the AT&T Center against Mike Garcia with that unanimous decision win. Then unified the IBF and WBC titles with his decision win over Sean Porter. Did have like a brief video about Errol Spence Jr. Telling Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson that he ballooned up to 189 pounds in between his fights with Mikey Garcia and Sean Porter. So he went from 189 pounds down to 147 pounds before his fight against Sean Porter. And that was just, like, to me, that was just way too much to try to get down before his fight against Sean Porter. Now, he was able to, make 147. Sean Porter, was also able to make 147 as well. I think both those guys to me are kind of just basically 154-pound guys going down to 147 or whatnot to compete at 147. So, with Errol Spence going from 189 to 147 for that particular fight, that's something. But then after that, having the car accident, and then going through recovery for that, and then being basically inside or quote unquote quarantine. If y'all saw, that interview that he had was on Showtime with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, man. He said he's gonna, get down to 147 again. He said he's around 160, 165 or something. Oh man, I don't know, man. I don't know if that looked like 165 pounds, man. Hey, if he's 165 pounds, then he says he's 165 pounds. But he will, have to be prepared a little bit for Danny Garcia. I think that, with Danny Garcia, this is going to be something for him to, basically step up and, try to do all he can in order to secure the win for this particular bout. Now, there has been some word that it might not be completely confirmed for the fall, and that, according to Keith Idec, he says that Danny Garcia has not been provided a definitive answer from advisor Al Heyman as far as like who he will fight next. So while, initial reports are coming from The Athletic on one side, here we have Keith Idec on the other side reporting that according to Danny Garcia, there is not a solidified answer as to who his next fight will be against, whether it's against the unified champion, Errol Spence Jr., or the WBA super champion, Manny Pacquiao, who became the super champion or, basically held it after his win over Keith Thurman last year. So, you had that Manny Pacquiao against Keith Thurman. You had Errol Spence Jr. against Sean Porter, and Danny Garcia was, sitting there, waiting for any one of those guys to fight. Ever since he lost to Sean Porter for, at the time, a vacant WBC welterweight championship. But now it looks like he's trying to have that thing solidified to have a match with either Errol Spence Jr. or Manny Pacquiao, which would be, two high-profile fights there. With Errol Spence Jr., they were, kind of like planning it to be the pay-per-view event. We know that the fight that Errol Spence Jr. had with Sean Porter was pretty successful, with the pay-per-view numbers and whatnot. And, it was very well attended. So with that being said, I think that if they're able to secure something between him, Errol Spence and Danny Garcia, that will be a very well attended event as well. I will say this though, if they do secure the fight between Errol Spence Jr. and Danny Garcia, I think that Danny Garcia has to show up and show out as much as he can. I know that, someone said that, maybe Errol Spence made a little bit of a mistake picking Danny Garcia to come back with. But there's going to be a lot of pressure on Danny Garcia, given that he's already fought two of the top welterweights that are out there right now, and he has losses to those welterweights. Having the fight against Keith Thurman, having the fight against Sean Porter, that those are two key losses there, putting those guys above Danny Garcia as far as like the overall rankings in the welterweight division. And while he was able to acquire that welterweight title against Robert Guerrero back in 2016, he's had the fight against Samuel Vargas. So it was just that one fight, and then having the unification fight against Keith Thurman, losing that fight, coming back, going up against Brandon Rios, stopping Brandon Rios, then going up against Sean Porter and losing, then having a fight against Adrian Granados, which I think a few people kind of like criticized that fight that he had against Adrian Granados. But Granados is, going up and down between 140 and 147. So if he was available, then he was available. Then he has a fight against Ivan Redkach that was at the Barclays Center earlier this year. So as far as like what's next, I think that Danny Garcia has to see, what is basically in store for him if he does lock down the fight against Errol Spence Jr. I think that that's going to be something to, basically see if he is ready against an Errol Spence Jr. And if he's going to be able to do some things in the ring to, defeat the likes of an Errol Spence Jr. I was just like, checking out, a few things, like I said, with Danny Garcia. He's there at 5'8", with a, 68.5-inch wingspan, going up against, somebody, Errol Spence Jr., where, he has a 72-inch wingspan, 5'9", and comes in, like I said, he was like up to 187 pounds before he fought Sean Porter. And with Danny, I know that he's fought at 140 and then came up to 147. So he's pretty much at around the range of maybe like a 160 or 164, going down to those particular weight classes. So, for me, I just think that it all hinges on the condition of Errol Spence Jr. I think we got to get some, reports as to like what he has been doing. How has he been communicating with his trainer, Derek James? And then once, everything is opened up here in America, that he goes into training, and if they try to, lock down the fight between Spence and Garcia, they're trying to see if it's going to be around September or something like that, which I don't know if it's going to be around September. But whenever that fight is going to be scheduled for, mainly the eyes will be on Errol Spence Jr. to see if he is fully recovered from that, like a horrific looking car accident that he had over in Texas there. So that's, pretty much what I had in reference to that particular topic. May revisit here a little bit later on. The next thing that I have on the docket is that there's talk about the unification fight at lightweight like it may actually happen. You know, we had doubts of this fight between Vasily Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez happening for the unified lightweight titles. That this thing had been rumored to take place in April of this year before, everything kind of like closed down in mid-March. But even then, there was nothing solidified for it. There was talk about, maybe that where it was going to be held at was an issue. That there was something, happening with one of the promoters for this particular instance, or the managers. There was something about Igor Klimas having his doubts about having his fighter Vasily Lomachenko fighting at Madison Square Garden, which would have been a great place for this fight to happen at. But now it seems like they are willing to go forward with this particular bout. There was also, talk about, maybe Lomachenko having a tune-up fight or a warm-up fight before this unification bout. And once that, rumor talk happened, Teofimo Lopez was like, oh, nah, nope, no tune-up fights, none of that. I want Vasily Lomachenko, and I want Vasily Lomachenko next, and I want Vasily Lomachenko ASAP. So with that being said, seems like Top Rank is willing to make that fight happen next once things get picked up. But I feel that, if it can't be in a closed circuit, setting. I did talk with, one guy that is under the Top Rank, so-called Steven Nelson, and he said that, like, action as far as like live boxing is concerned here in the States may start up as soon as July, and they're having plans to try to have fights be held in Las Vegas in a closed circuit setting in July. But for me, I don't think that fight like Vasily Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez should be fought in a closed circuit setting. That type of fight, is something like on the likes of Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, as far as like importance in the sport of boxing right now. So, with that being said, you're not going to have Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3 happen in a closed circuit setting. So with Vasily Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez, you're not going to have that in a closed circuit setting. At least I don't feel that it will be. So, even though they want to try to get those fights made as soon as possible, or get that fight made as soon as possible, then, as far as I'm concerned, they want to have it, in a venue, not in like a studio setting or, like I said, closed circuit, to where it's just, them two, camera crew, promoters, and that's pretty much it. So, with that being stated, we'll see, how that particular matchup gets finalized over the next few weeks or so. You know what I mean? So, for me, I just feel that, with the talk that we've had on the podcast in reference to Vasily Lomachenko, in that, Vasily Lomachenko, looked like he was having some doubts of actually going through with that particular fight, and just taking the tune-up, that just didn't have a good taste in some people's mouths. So Vasily Lomachenko's like, hey, I mean, I want y'all to make the fight. Just go ahead, make the fight. Let's get it going. Let's make it happen. I've said multiple times over that, with the likes of a Teofimo Lopez, with someone like a Ryan Garcia, that's in the lightweight division right now, Devin Haney, that wanted to fight Vasily Lomachenko, while Vasily Lomachenko was able to fight for the WBC lightweight title against Luke Campbell, win it, and then Devin Haney was able to win the interim title against Zaur Abdullayev over in the theater at Madison Square Garden, and he wanted that fight with Vasily Lomachenko, but they went on ahead. They made Vasily Lomachenko the franchise champion. So with that being said, it basically nixed everything as far as like a fight between Vasily Lomachenko and Devin Haney. But even before all of that, with Devin Haney signing with Matchroom Boxing, Bob Arum was like, oh, that Devin Haney is not going to fight Vasily Lomachenko. We're not going to make that happen. What's going to happen is we're going to have Vasily Lomachenko fight Luke Campbell, and then after he beats Luke Campbell, he's going to unify the lightweight division against my guy, Teofimo Lopez. That's what's going to happen. Now, I find that interesting because Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn, or Top Rank and Matchroom, have worked together to make fights happen. And, well, I'll give you two examples. Jose Ramirez versus Maurice Hooker over in Texas. And Vasily Lomachenko against Luke Campbell. So here's the interesting thing about it. It seems like Bob Arum and Top Rank, whether it's Bob Arum, Carl Moretti, or, whoever is, at the top there at Top Rank, they might not have as many issues having their guys go up against somebody in another promotion as long as they are fairly confident that their guy is going to win. Right? So that's why you had Vasily Lomachenko against Luke Campbell. That's why you had Jose Ramirez against Maurice Hooker. That's why after they made the deal, Tyson Fury against Deontay Wilder. But when it comes to a Vasily Lomachenko versus Devin Haney, Bob Arum isn't really too keen on making that fight. So maybe he thinks that Devin Haney is too dangerous for someone like a Vasily Lomachenko. Okay. There has been also some back and forth that's been happening while, they had that reluctance about Vasily Lomachenko fighting Teofimo Lopez next. So Teofimo Lopez was, hollering and crying and whining on social media. Well, Devin Haney was like, well, hey, you have this IBF belt. I have this WBC belt. And why don't we go ahead and try to unify those belts? It's like, make it happen. There was some, back and forth between Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney, including the part about, Devin Haney when he was, fighting Zaur Abdullayev, that Teofimo Lopez was supposed to be part of that tournament to, see about who would fight for the WBC lightweight title. But Teofimo Lopez was taken out of that tournament, was inserted into being a contender for the IBF title. He fought Richard Comey in Madison Square Garden. He was able to get that second round stoppage to win that IBF title. And immediately after that was when they tried to basically said in principle that Teofimo Lopez would fight Vasily Lomachenko. Now, with all of this stuff going on and no real fights being set, no real fights being made, and that fight between Vasyl Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez never being official, why not have something like a Devin Haney versus a Teofimo Lopez for the WBC and the IBF lightweight titles? That would be a great fight to make. But even if Devin Haney says that he's open for making that fight, even if Eddie Hearn says that he's open for making that fight, it's up to Bob Arum and his team if he's open to making that fight. And like I said before, Bob Arum may not have that many problems making a fight if he's really confident that his guy is going to win that fight. But if he's not that confident, then he might not make that fight. Now, as far as this whole thing, as far as like money is concerned, is like Devin Haney isn't this, Devin Haney isn't that. Let me tell you something. A fight between Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez would sell big time anywhere. Fans will go wherever it will be to see that particular fight because it's going to be two young guys that have world titles going up against each other, two guys undefeated going up against each other to see who is going to be among the top in the lightweight division. So I don't see any issue at all as far as like trying to make that particular fight unless they say Vasyl Lomachenko will be ready to go. Because Devin Haney, if you've seen some of his videos, training videos or whatever, he says he's ready to go. Teofimo Lopez says that he's ready to go. So if Lomachenko ain't ready to go, then Devin Haney may be ready to go. Now, it looks like I have a guest on here. This person has been a great contributor to the Boxing Source radio show, even though he is the president of the Deontay Wilder fan club and the commander and host of the Rumor Report. That's right, Mr. Matthew Brown. What's going on?
Bomb Squad!
You can't be the president of the Deontay Wilder fan club unless if you open like that.
I needed that one. Can you hear me fine? Because my mic was low when I was using the settings. Can you hear me fine?
Yeah, I'm all good. Yeah, you're all good.
Cool. I heard you talk about this guy, Lomachenko, the quote-unquote best fighter in the world, pound for pound, according to all these publications.
The guy that, according to ESPN, is undefeated. Don't forget that.
Yeah, I think they wiped Salido off the face of the planet.
Yeah. He doesn't exist. I guess he doesn't exist like Bob Arum says that Al Heyman doesn't exist.
Exactly. Mr. Cancer, is he even a real person?
He's not even a real person. Who? I said, what?
I'm not too sure if this fight's gonna take place, Jay. I gotta be honest with you, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust that Lomachenko really wants this fight because his manager, Igor Clemens.
Yeah.
He in December, we remember the Terrence Crawford card against Kavaliauskas. You had Colin versus Vladimir
Nikitina.
Yeah, whatever his name was. The Russian guy who was
one
of Clemens' guys. Clemens said, we're not going to have Lomachenko versus Lopez in New York. We're never coming back to New York. Lomachenko's never coming back to New York, blah, 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 blah. Okay. We saw, even before COVID hit, that Lomachenko and his team was playing hardball. Okay? They were talking spicy behind the scenes, but making it seem like in public, they really wanted this fight. The fight was supposed to be in March. Then it was supposed to be in April. then it was supposed to be in May. But yet the fight was never announced. And this was
Never.
before the outbreak. The fight was never announced. If the fight was announced and then we had the outbreak, obviously they're going to cancel the fight. Okay, I can understand that. But the fight was never announced. You're telling me that the first pay per view for Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez, they were not going to announce much in advance to give themselves time to push the pay per view to get as many buys as they can get?
Mm-hmm.
Now, fast forward to now, you had Lomachenko wanting to take an interim fight, and Teofimo Lopez exposed that publicly. You know, he had no problem talking about that shit out loud. You know, he had no problem doing it. He was like, listen, this guy wants a tune-up fight. I ain't about that tune-up, blah, 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 blah. Now all of a sudden, neither guy wants a tune-up fight. And I'm supposed to believe that Lomachenko is going to go straight into fighting Lopez in September when at some point during these negotiations, he felt like he needed a tune-up fight. I don't believe it.
Yeah, and the thing about it is with the Aegis Climbers bit, he had that fight with Mick Conlon against Nicotina, and the decision on that, not only was it like unanimous decision for Mick Conlon, right?
Yeah.
But it was like he won all 10 rounds on one card, 9 rounds on another, and 8 rounds on another. And if y'all saw that fight, ain't no way that McCullen had like a clean sweep, definitely.
But the right guy won.
Non-foul.
But the right guy won. At the end of the day, I don't really care about scorecards as long as the right guy wins. You know my thing. I feel like if you have close rounds, maybe all the close rounds went to the same fighter. It's the same argument I always have when people claim that Canelo gets favorable judging. If you have 12 close rounds and they give it all to one guy, the score is going to be 120 to 108, and then you're going to feel like somebody got robbed or they didn't get a fair shake. But no, one guy just happened to win all the close rounds. It is what it is. The Russian kid did not win. He didn't win the fight. So what's the problem?
Well, yeah, I guess we gotta call Egis Clemus and say, "Hey, yo, man, your guy didn't win the fight. So what are you complaining about? Your guy didn't win the fight." But even then, like not having the fight signed, it didn't even matter if there was a venue set or not. Usually, they sign the fight, then they look for a venue to book the event or the fight card at. So if they didn't want to have it at Madison Square Garden, okay, that's fine. You can send it to Staples Center. You can send it over to Texas or whatever. Exactly. But at least sign the fight. And if you hadn't signed the fight, then what's the problem?
I think what Lomachenko and his team are trying to do, they are trying to have Lopez outgrow the division so they don't have to fight him. And they can say, well, he moved up to 140. That's what they're trying to do.
So I find it interesting because if they're going to have Lopez outgrow the division, then he would like forfeit the IBF title. But my thing with Lomachenko is I don't think he's really a lightweight. I just think he should be at super featherweight. And that, we've been talking about it a couple of times. It's like after this particular fight, win or lose, he was going to go down to super featherweight.
Yeah.
Because there's too many sharks in the water at lightweight for Lomachenko to stay there.
But why? I thought Lomachenko wanted to fight the best opposition. The best opposition for him right now is at 135. So what's the problem?
I guess he wants to just have the one fight at 135 and then move down to 130 and fight Miguel Berchelt.
Listen, he still needs to fight Devin Haney also in my book. He got to fight Devin Haney. I got to see him against Tank Davis. I don't have to see him against Ryan Garcia because I think Ryan Garcia is enough years away that the fight wouldn't really make sense. And Lomachenko is not exactly a guy that you would put in a pass torch bout because he doesn't draw. He doesn't draw to be put in a pass torch bout. So I could see him not fighting Ryan Garcia. But to me, if Lomachenko doesn't fight Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, and Javante Tank Davis, I'm going to be very disappointed in the way his career turns out.
Well, one thing that I did say before you got on, when I talked about Devin Haney and Vasyl Lomachenko in particular, is that with Vasyl Lomachenko being with Top Rank and Bob Arum, Top Rank really doesn't have much issues making fights between guys that they have against guys that are in other promotions. With a small little caveat.
Yeah.
With a small caveat.
Yeah.
If they feel that their fighter is going to win, then yeah, they're going to go ahead and make the fight.
Because they couldn't wait to make Hooker versus Ramirez. They was like, "What? You're going to pay us $5 million?" And okay, no problem.
Yeah, no problem.
We'll take that money. Thank you. We'll take the belt.
But here's the even better one that I put up. Vasyl Lomachenko against Luke Campbell.
They couldn't wait for that, man.
They couldn't wait. Here's the thing. They actually took that fight that was supposed to happen between Devin Haney and Luke Campbell and said, "Hey, I'm over here. I'm about Lomachenko."
Yeah, and honestly, Devin Haney needs to find a new promoter because that was malpractice that Eddie Hearn perpetrated against him. And this is not the first time that we saw. As soon as Haney gets injured, all of a sudden, Haney's stripped of the title, and guess who's fighting for that vacant title? Luke fucking Campbell again. No. I can't believe
what they better do. Well, I think Devin Haney's going to end up being his own promoter anyway. But
go to Mayweather, man. Go to Mayweather.
Well, he might. I mean, he's training with him.
Yeah. Hey, listen. If you think for 1 second,
and Jack Davis is bad.
Exactly. If you think for 1 second that Floyd wouldn't choose Devin Haney over Tank Davis, make them fight and hope Haney beats the shit out of him, so that Haney could be the guy, the moneymaker, Floyd would do that in a second. Okay.
I mean, hey, Devin Haney was with Floyd Sr., so
yeah.
Why not? He told Tank Davis was bad.
He's like, oh, fuck Floyd, all these things. Like, my man, you're not fighting Haney next anyway. Why are you
why are you mad?
I gotta be honest with you, man. And I like Tank, but he's a bitch. He's a bitch, man. Yo, Tank is a true bitch. For somebody who grew up in the street life, all gangster and shit, he is a real life bitch. Why is he so sad? He grabbing He grabbing up baby mama in public with another dude. This he mad at Floyd now because Floyd is training with Haney, and Haney's not even a potential opponent for him. Why is this guy acting like such a bitch? What's going on down in the Baltimore, D.C. area? What's going on in the DMV, JR? That's your neck of the woods. What's going on?
Nah, that's Baltimore, because if that's D.C. or any other part of Maryland, I have to get my other guy and say, oh, no, that's not how the game goes. Yo, YSM Sports Media is on with us live, man. What you think about this whole thing with Tank?
I'm emotional, and I can't let go. Emotional ass nigga, man.
Yeah.
I look at the post. I'm like, for real, cuz? Damn.
Yo, you would think that him and Floyd were dating. I was like, what the fuck?
Yo.
What's wrong with this guy?
Yo, what part of the game is that? He must be. Yo, man, he's not from Baltimore. He must be from the county or something.
He's from Glen Burnie or something around here.
Silver Springs ass nigga.
Yeah, y'all so hey.
Oh shit! There goes the PBC credentials.
You guys say Davis talking
Yeah,
about
we got a quote.
Tell me what's the use of holding on if we can't be.
Yo, JR is petty, yo. JR is so petty.
I just don't understand what's up with Tank, but yo, I was shocked when I saw that because I'm like, yo, did he ask Floyd to train him and Floyd said no or something? Like, Floyd tried to get him to move his whole camp to Vegas, okay? And Tank didn't want to do that before.
Yeah,
Floyd tried that previously.
Yeah, he offered it. He offered. Like he offered, and Tank passed up. And then what happened? Tank got in trouble, didn't he?
Yeah, he was like, so yeah, I was gonna have my camp in Vegas, but never mind. Yo, man, that sound like something my chick could do, yo. I gotta say it.
That's what I said. I was like, wow, this is
like, oh, so you took her to Red Lobster? You had her get the Cheddar Bay biscuits and not me?
The butter biscuits.
Not the biscuits. Not the biscuits. Oh, yeah. Nah,
nice game, Granddad, and you looking kind of unfamiliar right now.
Yeah, I was just shocked, man. I like, what the fuck is going on?
Dude, I don't understand, yo. I just don't understand. Like, you don't, like, you. My thing is, I've said it before with Tank Davis. I'm like, yo, they're building them up to be almost to the level of their next Floyd. They got him on Showtime to build him as that, and then he's going ahead and he's doing this type of stuff. And it can't work.
And then he has the nerve to say, I'll fight anybody, including Floyd. Yo.
You know what that sounded like? That sounded like Broner. That's what that sounded like.
Yep.
Yo. It had even the greatest Tank fans and the staunchest PBC reporters was like, what? You want to fight him?
Oh man, I can't believe it, man.
Hey, at least Tank ain't mentioned Money Yaya.
No. Yo, that would have been the worst. That would have been the worst, man. That would have been the worst. Like, how you do something like that, man? Like, why is it like all these fighters are just like going to social media and just making a whole fuss on social media, man? Like, that ain't how the game goes, man.
He's supposed to be a street dude. This is what's bugging me. Tank is allegedly a street dude. He's always threatening people on Twitter. Oh, pull up. I'm going to pull up. But you're threatening your promoter just because he's training with another guy. Like, I just don't get it. Like, if you want to train with Floyd, ask Floyd. Floyd's not going to say, nah, I don't want to train with you, Tank. Floyd's not going to say that. Floyd's going to say, get your ass down here to the Mayweather Vegas and let's do this.
Hey, YSM, it's like a lot of feedback coming from your headphones. So, you had to like mute that right quick. But I'm going to get you back on here in a bit. Yo, that's like I've never like seen like that type of jealousy, kind of like from Tank, but we've kind of like seen hints of this type of behavior from him. The whole thing between him and Tevin Farmer, that was kind of, sketchy. And, like you said, I mean, Floyd offered for Tank to be there in Vegas to hang and train and everything and get right. And he passed up on it.
Yeah,
And
get out
now
the
he's
hood.
gonna, basically just say, Floyd turned his back on me, man. You gonna go ahead and train Devin Haney, and you turn your back on me, man. So I need to fight,
he's a bitch.
everybody, including Floyd. What?
He's a bitch. He's a bitch.
Yo, I'm really confused about what's going on. It's like, so you mad at him for working with somebody that he's worked with since boy was 8 years old? Why? Cause dude calling you out?
And it's not even as if that fight is even on the table. The fight
It's
is
not.
on the
Yeah,
table.
it's like 2 years away.
Come on, man.
You got a fight lined up.
Like, it's like, why are you worried about somebody that you ain't gonna fight?
Because I think Tank is going straight from Santa Cruz to maybe a fight with Ryan Garcia. I don't think Haney's on the menu anytime soon. Like, what?
Haney's going to move up. Everybody sees it. He's growing out of that weight class. Him and T.O. won't be at 135 by the end of 2021. They're gone.
Yep, they're gone. Shoot, it might even be before that. If they ain't careful. It might be before that. So I'm like, goodness, man. The other thing that I was talking about before y'all got on was the possibility. I mean, they're talking about it. Hopefully YSM could expound on it a little bit. Yesterday they were talking about Errol Spence coming back and fighting Danny Garcia as far as like that pay-per-view in a pay-per-view type of event. But recently, I just saw something about Danny saying that maybe he'll fight either Errol Spence or Manny Pacquiao in the fall. So I don't know what's going to go on with that.
Jay, from what I'm hearing, is definitely Danny. It's definitely Danny. I think this is a bad move for Spence. Before the accident, I would have easily picked Spence. But the fact of the matter is, he's not sparring yet, right? So he doesn't know how his body's going to react to trauma. He doesn't know how his body's going to react to swelling. I just feel like a softer touch before a top 5 fight. Now, this tells me a lot about Spence mentally. He definitely believes, and he's a dog. But I don't think that his team should have protected him from himself. Get a soft touch, fight your Mando, your IBF Mando, that turkey from Top Rank. Get that out the way, then get into your Danny Garcias. Huh?
Cucurtillo.
Yeah. Fight that Top Rank turkey. That Top Rank turkey. Like that's easy work. That's a good tune-up fight. It's a good tune-up. And it takes
Campbell again.
Yeah, but it's your IBF Mando, and it's a tune-up. So you good. Then you get into your Danny Garcias, your Keith Thurmans, your Terrence Crawfords, your Pacquiaos.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. Go ahead, Matt.
I want to ask you a question. So now that it's looking like Danny versus Errol Spence, first of all, what's going to be the next move for Terrence Crawford? And secondly, what does this mean for Manny Pacquiao's next fight?
I feel like it's going to be Manny versus Mikey Garcia.
Oh.
And whatever paraplegic Bob throws in the ring with Terrence Crawford. I'm sorry. I honestly, no, I'm saying that because I don't see anybody for Terrence Crawford to fight. I mean,
so you don't think Crawford is gonna nut up and fight Sean Porter? Like, come on, why not?
No.
Why not?
I don't think it's necessarily, but I don't think they want to fight each other.
Porter would do it. Like.
No, Porter said he would do it.
I've already given up on trying to question the Porter way. All right. Sean
They get,
Porter
but they go back and forth though. I know, but they go back and forth with it.
Yeah, but his resume says that he'll fight anybody. He fought Spence, Garcia, Thurman, Brook, Ugas. Like Sean Porter, he's certified to me. So.
Oh no. I'm not saying that. They're talking about their friends. I don't think I think they only fight each other if it's absolutely positively necessary.
It is necessary. Like listen, you can't have Errol Spence come back in his first fight since his horrific car accident and go up against a top guy, but then you have Terrence Crawford eating another pie. You just can't have that. When is Crawford's reputation gonna take a hit?
Let's be honest, right? I'm a Crawford fan. Crawford's reputation is going to stay solid because a lot of guys that are backing him are just PBC haters and not really Crawford fans.
Rick Glazer.
Steven Nelson.
Yeah.
Kim, guys like Steve Kim. Basically all the people who get clicks in boxing media.
Who is it? Hall of Famer Thomas Hauser.
Yeah, come on, man. Like, honestly, if this was anybody else, first of all, Danny Garcia, his reputation has taken a hit for his resume at 147. And to me, his resume at 147 is very similar to Terrence Crawford.
No, it's not.
No, it's better. Even with the losses,
he's fought the names. He just lost close decisions to him. But he's fought the names.
Two fighters. That's it. Two fighters. That's it.
And now it's Errol. So you done fought Errol, you done fought Porter, and you done fought Thurman.
I had to speak that in there, Jay. I'm sorry.
What did he say? What did he say? Was that New York hate? Because I didn't catch it.
Nah, that was JR hate right there.
Oh.
I told him I thought Garcia beat Porter because I know JR is riding shotgun like Suge and Pop when it comes to Sean Porter.
Yo, I'm gonna say this, right? Everybody's tied up except for Porter. Everybody's tied up.
Yes.
So unless I'll only give him one pass. If he fights Brook, I'll give him a pass.
What Brook?
He won't. No.
It's a name.
That's garbage. That is yo.
How was it garbage?
Nobody cares about Kell Brook. Nobody.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Are you sure Bud beats him?
I'm sure.
Are you sure?
Listen,
Are you sure?
If Bud Crawford can't beat Kell Brook, then he needs to go back down to 140 because Kell Brook is trash.
Kell Brook isn't trash.
He's trash.
Matt.
Washed. Oh my
did he look trash? Did he look trash when he was knocking your boy around?
Who was he knocking around?
Spence, before his eye gave out. Did he look trash to you?
Oh, he wasn't knocking Spence around.
But here's the thing. What has Kell Brook done since then? That's number one. And
nothing.
Here's a question, Matt. Would a fight between Crawford and Kell Brook pretty much be equivalent to the fight that Crawford had against Amir Khan?
No, don't do that.
Probably
don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Because
don't do that.
At least Amir Khan has like speed and stuff like that.
Amir Khan's chin was on life alert.
Hey, listen. Only thing I know, judging about what I heard about Kell Brook, if Terrence Crawford hits him in the nuts, he might like it. So I don't want to see that.
Oh,
I don't want to
this is.
see that, man. Come on.
All right, so give
chocolate brownies.
Yeah.
give me the list. Give me the list of guys that that you would be okay with Bud fighting.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Shit. One time's available.
Yes.
There you go. There you go.
So
There you go.
Okay, I'll take that one.
Sean
There you go.
Keith Thurman, Jordanis Ugas, or Sergey Lipinets.
That's a possibility.
If he fights any of those four guys, you won't hear a complaint from me. But Cal Brook, you're gonna fight another English muffin? This guy's been washed. He's been washed for how long? When was the last time you cared about a Cal Brook?
Aren't you?
Be honest.
Aren't you on a UK platform though?
I don't give a fuck about these blokes, man. Trash is trash. Trash is trash. Trash, man. Come on. Be honest. When was the last time you cared about a Cal Brook fight?
Honestly, never. To be honest with you, I cared about seeing Spence and Triple G fight and Porter, but I wasn't caring about Kell Brook.
Come on, whether the fight you really named Kell Brook yet that you will really look forward to, or was like,
when he was fighting the stripper, remember the Australian stripper he fought?
Who's
Zarafa? Yeah, the
stripper.
Nah, man.
Zarafa stripped Jeff Horn ass naked though.
Hey,
he knocked his ass out. Cool.
Jeff Horn ain't shit neither. Jeff Horn ain't shit neither.
Yo, but hey, a fight between Crawford and Lipinets, that would be an action fight right there, man. That would be a good action fight. As long as it lasts, it would be a good action fight.
And I think that's what they should go for. Go for one of those 4 PBC fighters so we can know that you guys are serious about negotiating with PBC and coming across the street, for lack of a better term.
And here's the thing on top of that. Some of us have heard about like what Spence and Crawford would want for that fight between each other. So right now, that is way, out of it's not happening. So in order to make that happen, you need to make those type of fights. So Crawford's going to have to do that sooner or later.
Listen to me. I don't think it will be one time because number one, you got to pay. He gave Amir Khan 49%. Amir Khan isn't one time. You're going to have to give one time at the minimum 50-50, and he should be the A side in that fight based off of attendance.
Yeah.
Based off of attendance, pay-per-view buys, he should be the A side.
Yeah, he got that Pacquiao rub.
Yeah, but the thing is, man, with Thurman and what he's done, over the course of his career at welterweight, he's going to command that. He's going to command a 50-50 split or more.
So I doubt that happens. I just doubt. Not right now. Even though that would be the fight that we would all want to see, Jay.
But why so?
Because Keith's coming off of a loss. 2 back-to-back losses. Now you got to look at it from our standpoint. 2 back-to-back losses. No, that'll kill him.
I don't think Keith thinks he's gonna lose.
No, I'm talking about you got to look at it. You got to look at it from our standpoint. 2 back-to-back losses. It's possible because Terrence Crawford's a great fighter. So I think you give Keith a tune-up, and then you put him in a fight with Terrence Crawford. And if Terrence Crawford loses, which is very possible against Keith, then that kills the Errol Spence fight for Bob. The fight that he actually wants.
Here's an interesting matchup for Terrence Crawford. You have Danny Garcia matching up with Spence. So Danny Garcia is gonna declare that he's gonna fight for another sanctioning body, meaning he's no longer gonna be ranked.
He's no longer in WBO.
So Who's the next guy up? Virgil Ortiz.
Oh,
Actually,
shit.
they got started yes to. As far
They
as
won't.
I know.
They yeah, they won't.
Virgil Ortiz is
They won't. Oscar wouldn't. That Oscar wouldn't do that.
But listen, what if the WBO calls that mandatory? When was the last time Crawford fought his WBO mandatory?
Just now, Mean Machine.
Last fight.
Yeah, that was December. If you think about when
Oh shit, you're right.
going to be back.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they suspended.
Yeah, but I don't know if they do that.
Yeah, that's going to coincide with the end of the year. Maybe that mandatory gets called.
Hey, yo, fellas, thank you for having me. I gotta go. I love y'all.
All right.
All right. Yo, yeah. Hey, if the WBO didn't suspend their schedule, then that mandatory is going to be due. I'd say, what is that, September? They're going to call it to have the fight by December. So thing about it is like, with that being said, you do have, like I said, actually, it was ranked currently number one is Danny Garcia. And like, Matt said, Danny Garcia, he goes up against, Errol Spence. He's going to be out of those WBO rankings. I was saying that Lopez was there in the rankings as well. And I thought he was there. So they took him out.
Yeah, I was looking at the latest WBO rankings. He is nowhere to be found. So looking at the WBO rankings, you have obviously Crawford's the champion. We know that. Danny Garcia is ranked number one. Number two is Virgil Ortiz. Number three is Mikey Garcia. Number four is Maurice Hooker, which we know he's not going to fight because they train together. And then number five is Regis Prograis.
And Prograis is
top 15 anymore.
Yeah, and Prograis is they were slated to fight.
Hooker.
Yeah, wait. You said Lopez wasn't in there?
No, they took Lopez off the rankings.
Hold on, because I see him there at number 3 in February. What the heck happened?
Listen, hey, ask Austin Trout. The WBO does what they want to do with their rankings.
Wait a minute. Let me see. Wait, no, I ain't gonna do it. Not on Google, man. I don't trust this right, man. Hold on, let me do this.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna make the risk, yo.
Like, I don't understand that.
Yo,
they took him out.
He just disappeared.
They just took him out.
Yo, damn it, yo,
I don't know what's up with Paco.
Yo, yeah, Paco be on something, man. He just be just taking people out of the rankings, out of the blue, man. It's just freaking ridiculous, man.
It's crazy to me. I'm like, how the hell? Like, it's not like anybody fought, so why is he out of the rankings? Like,
yeah, man.
Doesn't make any sense at all, man.
Yeah. Well, let me see here. Wait a minute. So that podcast we had with Steven Nelson, he was talking about the plans for Top Rank to host fights, and it seems like now they solidified like kind of dates for those things.
Yeah.
So
June 9th is gonna be the first date. It looks like. Yeah.
Yep. June 11th and June 13th. They say that Shakur Stevenson is going to be on for June 9th. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be against Rivera though.
It won't be.
Yeah, because
my man Trump built that wall, so he can't get over.
Make America great again.
He can't get over.
Make America great.
He can't get over now.
So yeah, we gotta find. They gotta find somebody else for him. I think later on down the line, Jamel Herring will have a fight defending his WBO title
Yeah.
There.
Jamel
It's gonna be
Herring's
July.
supposed to be on that same card, I think.
Well, he might end up being on that same card. Because he's been talking. Yeah, he was talking a lot about being included in one of these telecasts.
Yeah.
So with that being said, he's gonna be prepared. He still says that the Carl Frampton fight is going to happen. It's just that he's going to have this temporary, fight here first, and then
We'll see.
then go forward with that fight with Carl Frampton, which Carl Frampton ain't gonna win that fight. And he's talking about. He said in one interview that he may be able to knock out Jamel Herring. I'm like, come on, man, you ain't gonna be able to do that.
But why don't Shakur Stevenson fight his mandatory for that comeback fight?
Yeah, he should. Yeah, they should be able to try to get that out of the way.
You know who his mandatory is, right? In the words of YSM Sports Media, another top ranked turkey, Irish Mikey Collins.
Irish Collins. Let's make it happen. I don't care what it takes. Get him over to the States if he's in Ireland. Make it happen. Get that mandatory over with.
Yo,
you know what I mean?
WBO rankings are a joke, man. I tell you.
Oh my God.
I looked at that, I was like, Mikey Conlon, what the fuck?
Like how?
I think
for being the guy
is doing
for 3 and. But hey, that's top rank for you when it comes to the WBO. That's who they roll with. It's been like that for years.
Shakur move up. Shakur gonna move up to 130. Herring's gonna move up to 135. Lomachenko's gonna fight for another organization. So you're gonna have Shakur fight for a vacant WBO belt. Herring's gonna fight for a vacant WBO belt, and then Mikey Connor's gonna fight for the vacant WBO belt.
WBO belt 126. It's gonna be horrible, man.
I swear that WBO belt is like a promotion at Top Rank, man. I'm like, what the? How do they keep it in the family? Like, I don't get it.
Yo, wait a minute. So. In February, we had my guy Gary Russell Jr. beat Tuk Satnam Bayar, who is the WBC mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
Guess who's number one now?
In the WBC?
Yes.
Damn. WBC. Featherweight. Nah, I give up. Tell me.
Jesse Magdaleno.
Get the fuck out of here. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Now you see why Gary Russell Jr. wants to move up.
Oh my God. Jesse Magdaleno, the same guy that Isaac Dogbase sent to hell. Oh Niho.
Oh, how in the world, man? Just Magdaleno, man.
I feel bad for Gary Russell, man. But why don't Gary Russell and Shakur Stevenson fight?
They should. Gary said he has no problem with it. He said that Shakur is the only one with the cojones to step up. So I don't see why not.
Yeah, man. I don't know what's going on. This is why I don't like these lower weight divisions, man. First of all, these guys are the size of my kids. Second of all, like it's way too much shit going on down there, man. Just guys you don't want to see. I don't want to see Jesse Magdaleno. Jesse Magdaleno versus Mikey Conlon would be like a preliminary bout on the card. And these guys are ranked number one.
It would be a preliminary bout, It will be a preliminary bout on the Impact Network.
Exactly. And these guys are number one contenders. This boxing. I love boxing though. You know, I'm not gonna shit on boxing because I'm gonna honestly. I've decided that I'm gonna start acting like a UFC fan. Like, that's what I'm gonna start doing. Because UFC fans, it don't matter that Dana pays his prostitutes more than he pays his fighters. It doesn't matter that that these guys they made like $50 million on the pay-per-view, but the whole fight card cost like $3 million. Like none of that matters.
I was gonna say the whole fight card costs $100,000, but go ahead.
like these guys, these UFC fans, they just root for UFC. So I think we need to start doing that in the boxing media. Stop being so negative about everything. We got 3 great fights that basically got announced. We got Tank versus Leo. We got Lomachenko versus Lopez, and we got Swift versus Spence. I think these are, those are
Great
damn
fights.
good fights. If they come on.
Yeah, but the thing is like we get these type of fights like every year. It's just, we gotta like push those fights. But like, but I'm saying like 2020, like when it was originally scheduled, we were gonna get a lot of good fights. And I think that we should still get those good fights once things pick back up because, all across the board, they were gonna be, fights to look forward to. So
now one thing I wanted to ask you about that with the boxing schedule. We know that Bob Arum was talking spicy about how you can't charge $80 for pay-per-view, blah, 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 blah. So does that mean that he's going to use his $40 price for Lopez versus Lomachenko?
I want to see if he wants to use that $40 price against Fury Wilder 3. Let's see if he wants to use that $40 price for that.
Hell no. They're saying that fight not even going to take place in the United States.
Oh man! So they're gonna take it to Saudi Arabia, get that.
To Saudi Arabia, I will not watch the fight. I will not watch it. I will not watch the fight. Shout out to Jamal Khashoggi. I will not watch that fight if it's in Saudi Arabia. And honestly, I would have to step down as president of the I cannot support that. I can't support it. I just can't support it.
Because look, the U.S. and the U.K. are going to be the last 2 countries to open up anything large scale as far as like sporting events are concerned. Mm-hmm. But I really don't think so because they're coming close to that time. It's about 3 months away, but it's coming close to that time. When the NFL starts up and then preseason games come up, and you're going to see them ratings, but also you're going to see how much money those NFL owners are going to lose for every game that they don't have fans in the stadium. And you think that they're going to get through that?
Yeah, they make a lot of revenue.
But hey, listen.
I don't think that's the same for like mid-level boxing fights, like Lopez versus Lomachenko.
Yeah.
How much of a gate were they gonna do? Less than $2 million?
Yeah, that's $2 million maybe. If that. I don't even think $2 million.
Yeah, I don't think so. So that's not much in the grand scheme of things. So
like what is it? Like they would host that fight either in the theater at Madison Square Garden or what is that? The Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles, not the Staples Center, not the actual Madison Square Garden. No, because they won't be able to get no tickets.
If they're gonna have this fight and there's gonna be no fans, why not host it at the ESPN campuses in Bristol, just so you can have like the great production? If there's gonna be no fans anyway, then there is no sense in paying for a venue. Why
can't they be like Eddie Hearn and trying to make a ring over in his backyard?
Fuck that guy, yo. Eddie Hearn is the ultimate carnival barker, man. Like, he's just talking nonsense.
Step right up. That's great, buddy. Come on, you there? You with the headband? You're a different gravy.
gonna fight in his backyard. Like, yo, Eddie Hearn is like the white P Diddy, man. All up in the video, all up in the video. Yo, Eddie, why is it never about his fighters? It's always about Hearn. Like, I just don't get it. It's always about Hearn. This man said he's gonna have fights in his backyard.
Hey, he's the complete opposite of Al Heyman.
Yeah. Fights in the backyard. Like, I was shocked. I'm like, he's gonna say that out loud. And another thing about Eddie Hearn, this man has been claiming that he's gonna make a boxing video game for longer than he said he was gonna make Wilder versus Joshua. Just give it up, please. Every week he's talking about another boxing video game. I don't want to hear about it no more. Just once it's made, sell it, okay, and then we'll happily buy it. Enough of Eddie Hearn, man. Like, come on, man.
Yeah,
what's
but
going on with Joshua versus Pulev? What's going on with that?
Pulev wants to fight. The IBF's the IBF. Just go ahead and get it over with. You know, just because anyway, like, you get rid of this mandatory, you got another mandatory due. So why not just get this thing done sooner rather than later? Just get it over with.
That's a damn
you know.
fact. The funny thing about that situation, it's not like they were gonna do a huge gate anyway. Like,
yeah,
talk about Josh, just have the fight.
Hey, who cares about Pulev, man?
Did you have?
They were gonna do a gate. Come on, it's Joshua, man. They were gonna do a gate. They don't give a fuck.
Listen, Joshua hasn't done a good gate in the UK or overseas since the StubHub deal between Matchroom and StubHub ended. Okay, so you can't inflate the numbers. Okay, sorry, it's over for that. It's over for that. Okay?
Maybe I don't know. Maybe we need to ask Danny or your guy or Bradley.
I wonder what happened. He's probably in jail, man. But
no, he's not. He's not.
I haven't seen that guy in a long time. But did you happen to hear Eddie Hearn's interview with Mike Coppinger and Lance Pugmire?
No, I just saw the post on Twitter from Coppinger, so I haven't listened to it yet.
So weirdly,
is it as bad as what was the last one you were talking
Dana
about?
White.
Oh, the Dana White one.
It wasn't as big of a blowjob as the Dana White one was, but Eddie Hearn said some things that I raised my eyebrow to. So he was, of course, making excuses why Golovkin is not going to fight Canelo next. Oh, we have a signed contract with Camille Zaramata, so we have to fight. First of all, Golovkin versus Canelo ain't going to be at 160. So who gives a shit about the IBF belt? We know it's not going to be at 160. Golovkin versus Canelo doesn't need a belt anyway. It really doesn't.
Right.
You know, it's the trilogy. Doesn't need a belt. And then he had the nerve to say that if Canelo and Saunders are going to fight, he said Canelo is going to have to ask himself if he's going to take less money to make these fights without fans happen. So I'm thinking to myself, why would Canelo do that? Canelo has a guaranteed contract. Why would Canelo take less money?
Well, one, he's not going to take less money off of his guarantee. But remember, the only reason why they wanted to do that third fight between Canelo and Golovkin was because they were going to give Canelo $5 to $7 million or a quote unquote advance of $5 to $7 million more dollars in his deal for that fight against Golovkin. But I mean, for me, why don't you just delay the schedule that they have planned for Canelo? Go ahead and have that fight with Billy Joe Saunders, then have that fight with Golovkin next, and then you have that fight with Murata if you want to still have that fight with Murata. Just go with the same schedule.
But here's the thing with Canelo, right? the only people that are going to be losing money on these fights for the zone is just the promoters. The fighters are not losing nothing. All these fighters have their guaranteed deals that's coming from the network. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not like these promoters are losing a lot of money because they're not the ones footing the bill for the fights. It's the zone footing the bill. So
Yeah.
basically, the only thing the promoters are losing on is the cost of making the fight. But how much is it going to cost to stage a fight with no fans? It's not going to cost that much.
Yeah, it's
You
not.
know,
It's not. It's
it,
not going to cost much at all because
so what are they losing? They just don't want to make the fights and they don't want to say it. They just
they
don't
don't
want to
want
make the
to.
fights.
Unless the promoters are footing the bill for actually booking the venue, then they're not losing anything at all, as far as I'm
What
concerned.
venue? But what venue do you need to book? You don't need to book a venue. Have this shit at a fucking soundstage somewhere. You
Look,
don't.
it's
Why?
the same thing as what Top Rank is planning to do.
Yeah, because it makes no sense to book a venue for a fight that's not going to have any fans. It
Right.
makes no sense. You can have other. Don't the zone have some studio somewhere? Like, can't the zone
You know,
put
like
Eddie
the
Hearn?
island that Dana White claims that he has.
Yeah, like come on, like what these guys are saying makes no sense to me. What it sounds like to me is that these the zone guys, the promoter is the one making the money off the gate, not the fighters. The fighters are getting their purses from the zone. So the
Mm-hmm.
only reason why these fights are not taking place is because the promoters don't want it to take place because they're the ones that's not making the money. The
Right.
fighters are going to make the
Yeah,
money
that's
regardless.
the thing that I'm getting off of it because, especially with the zone fighters, because if the zone is not footing the bill for booking the venues, it's the promoters that are doing
Yeah,
that. So the promoters
absolutely.
are footing the bill for that, and shoot, they don't. But and the thing is, they got to do the thing for advertising for ticket sales too. So
Yeah,
that's what they're putting their money towards. But as far as like
yeah.
the
And
TV
there's
and
no,
all
but there's
that,
no
they don't
ticket
have to
sales.
worry about that.
What ticket sales? There's no ticket sales.
There
You're
won't
not
be no
selling
ticket
tickets to
sales in
anybody.
this instance. So
Exactly. You know what? So what's the problem? And they can't say that the zone wants to wait for fans because the zone doesn't get anything off of ticket revenue.
they
The zone is
don't.
just a
Not one.
broadcaster.
Not one cent.
It would
Not
be
one cent.
illegal for the zone to get anything off of ticket revenue. The
Hey,
zone's money is
I'll
from
say they always like,
distribution.
hey, I just want the fans. I don't want the fans to see the fight. That's all I want them to
Exactly.
do. You know, like,
Yeah, it's bullshit.
oh,
I
put
don't
it
think
put it this way. Look at how they ain't really putting Ryan Garcia in any type of fight right now.
yeah, yeah, they
And
don't
you're supposed to
no.
fight Jorge Linares, but they don't want to do that.
Yeah, well, Linares probably can't get to America neither.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. He probably
No,
can't.
yeah, he's Mexican, Linares. I don't know. I don't think he can get over here anyway. But
Yeah,
I just find it real funny that Eddie Hearn said that Canelo and Saunders gonna have to take less money. Why? And where's this money gonna go? Like it doesn't make any sense at all. Unless
yeah.
unless you think that people aren't gonna tune in because there's not fans in the building. I don't think
Mhm.
so. You're gonna tune in to fight. I think Canelo is gonna end up, and I know you're probably not gonna agree with this. I think Canelo's gonna end up fighting Caleb Plant or Jamal Charlo.
Next.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. I
Eh,
don't see the Saunders fight happening.
I don't see it. I don't see the fight happening either with Saunders. But for me, um, if it's Plant or Charlo, man, how would that look if not
It would
only
be
Saunders
ridiculous.
didn't get the fight, Calvin Smith didn't get the fight, Demetrius Andre didn't get the fight.
Yeah,
All of those three wouldn't get the fight, but Caleb Plant or Jamal Charlo. Hey, you better go check those numbers, man. You're a damn lie. You better go check the numbers.
exactly. Like first of all, Callum Smith turned down like 8 million to fight Canelo. So how can we really take somebody like Callum Smith seriously? He turned down 8 million to fight Canelo. You turned
Probably,
down
probably, probably because he saw that what Damian Jacobs got at least 10.
Yeah, but hey, then fight Danny Jacobs. Fight him for the rest of the money to make up for it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, fight him for the
like,
remaining
come
2
on.
million.
Like this guy, like I don't understand what these guys are doing. So maybe what should happen is Andre should move up to 168 and fight Saunders.
Yeah.
Have Callum Smith fight Dimitri Bivol because Bivol's talking about moving down to
Moving
168.
down. Yeah.
And then Eddie Hearn's guys will be trying. Then have those two guys face off with each other, whoever wins. But Eddie has all these fighters. The zone has all these fighters from 160 to 175 that could all meet at 168, but these fights are not getting made. Like I don't get it.
I mean, how is it? How is it that you don't have? You could have a World Boxing Super Series type of tournament at 168 with all of those guys, and you're not quite doing it.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. It's weird to me, but I
Mhm.
guess. Hey, listen. I don't know what Eddie Hearn's game plan is. He wasn't. He was just talking on in his interview. Like he didn't say anything substantial. He said that Joshua versus Pulev is probably going to be between October and December, and they
We
can't
already
have
know
it
that.
not in front of friends. Yeah, like so. I guess maybe they're going to go to Croatia. Maybe they'll go to Bulgaria. Who knows where they're
Syria.
going to go? Who knows where they're going to go? He doesn't seem to have any real plans for Golovkin beyond the Zarameta fight. He's talking about maybe Golovkin could fight Canelo for Cinco de Mayo. Why would Canelo do that? Like, if Golovkin turned down this third fight, I can't see
Yeah,
Canelo.
I would say screw Golovkin
Yeah,
forever.
exactly. I think
I
Canelo's
don't
like,
care
oh, fuck
about
that guy.
I don't care about an additional $7 million. Like I'm the
Yeah.
man. Golovkin's not. So why are y'all catering to Golovkin? Fuck that.
And it's not like Canelo is doing the fight because he feels like Golovkin is owed something. Canelo knows, and rightfully so, that he beat Golovkin fair and square. To
Yeah.
him, the rivalry is over. He's literally only doing it because the zone asked him to do it. He's like, all right, I'm gonna do this for my network. But then
Mhm.
Golovkin's gonna turn around and turn it down. You know, fuck that guy, man. Fuck that guy.
Hey, about the Joshua Pulev fight, maybe they should have it over there in Latvia with Robert Byrd as a referee and see what happens.
Oh my gosh, have Adelaide Bird a judge. Oh my
Adelaide
god.
Byrd as a judge.
Yeah.
All right, that's pretty much what I got here, man. Up to this particular point, anything with the rumor report?
Um, I want to do a deep dive into this MTK Global situation
Ooh.
with Daniel Kinahan. I'm a
Ooh.
little troubled by Kinahan being still in the sport of boxing. It's a little weird that up until today, Jake Donovan in the boxing scene, he was the first legitimate U.S. reporter to actually report on it. So shout out to him.
Mhm.
Um, I just want to do a deep dive into that because if this was Al Heyman,
Right, but
oh my god,
it's kind of been a good amount of stuff coming out of MC Clay Global that's
it's troublesome.
really questionable, man. And
The,
uh,
the the mob is back in boxing. It's like the old days. Make boxing
uh,
great again.
that's what it's looking like. That's what it's looking like,
That's
man.
basically it, man. But I don't come on here to plug anything, man. I don't give a fuck about that. I just
All
come on here
right,
to talk shit with you, man.
I feel you, man. But there you go. That's the midweek report here with the Boxing Source. We're going to be live on Blog Talk Radio Sunday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to have see if I have one boxer on slated for 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and I'm gonna still see if I could get my guy on once again. This time with more callers being able to call in. I know that the rumor is still floating around, but and I know that he told me that it's going to go down, but I need to know. And I know that my guy here, Matt, really needs to know if it's going to actually happen. So just because one side says that it's going to happen doesn't mean that it's actually going to happen.
Exactly.
So we got to get all parties, all on one page if this particular fight is going to happen. So we'll look more into that later in the week. But until that time, I'll catch y'all later. Peace out.